me just wait a little bit for everyone to join. While that is going on, let me just introduce myself. My name is Bryce. I am the founder of CloseBot, which a lot of you people know is a third-party bot solution for Go High Level. I'm not here to sell that product. I just love software and am a self-taught software developer myself. So I thought it would be fun to start doing these trainings for people just as a way for them to hone in that desire, if they have it, to build their software skills. So cool. Today we're going to build a bot, or not a bot. We're going to build an API endpoint where we can add a tag to a contact. It's going to send that contact ID to our little piece of code, and it's going to pull in the conversation summary that contact has had with bots or humans, anything. We're going to use OpenAI to generate a summary, and we're going to update a contact field with that summary. Then you can do whatever you want with that contact summary, that conversation summary. You could email it to the business owner, whatever you want at that point. Most importantly, I'll be including a zip file package and the how-to on how to spool up your own API to make it easily editable by you. So you can customize this to really do whatever you want and bypass workflows to do things way cheaper and quicker, more efficiently. Okay, now we're in business. Sweet. Everyone see my screen okay? Any sign of life in the comments is great. Lets me know that we are doing okay. Okay, so first of all, I have gone and prepared this little Google Drive that is going to be made available to everyone at the end. I have some instructions in here, and I'll just follow along. It'll be really nice because we'll have the instructions, you'll have the video. It'll make it really easy for you to duplicate this on your own to do whatever you want. So I need to first create a private integration. This is going to feel like home for a lot of people because it is in high level that we're going to do this. We'll come over to a sub account and click settings and private integrations. Now, a lot of you have probably used High Level's API, probably the V1 stuff. Maybe some of you have tried to use private integrations or use it successfully. I'm going to come in here and create a new integration. You can call it whatever we want. And then this tells it what I want to be allowed to access from here. From my description to you guys, I know I need to pull in and update some contact stuff and some conversation stuff. So for that, I want to be able to view conversations, view conversation messages. And they do this so that if your key gets out there into the wrong hands, it's at least limited on what it can do. It doesn't have full God privileges over your account. We'll just give it edit access over some of that stuff as well, view and edit contacts, and that should be good. But you can see all of these things that are possible through the API. And we'll get some practice in developing some functions ourselves using AI to use the Go High Level API. Cool. So I'm going to create, and then you want to make sure you copy this. It's never going to be shown to you again. I'm going to copy this, and this is a dummy account. I'll probably delete this key after this call so you guys can't use what you've learned and come in and edit this dummy account. I will copy that token. You want to make sure you keep that private for your account. It makes it easy to rotate and expire tokens, or just rotate and expire tokens later from this screen as well. Okay, so I have that. I'm going to come in here. Don't be afraid of this. I'm just going to paste it in somewhere where I have it for later. Okay. Next step, we need to create an AWS account. AWS stands for Amazon Web Services, and that's where we host our stuff at CloseBot, and that's a place where you can host stuff too. That's what we're going to use today to make our function. So you go to, if you just search AWS Management Console, or just AWS, more than likely, you can log into the console right here or create an AWS account. You'll want to create an account, and it's free to operate this for the first year. They want to get big businesses in the door and then charge them money later. We're using such a small fraction of what it can do, though. It'll likely never cost you really any money to run this type of function. It's meant for millions of executions, not hundreds. So this will not be costly for you guys to run at all. Once you are in here, you're going to search Lambda. Lambda is like a little function. We're going to create a little function. And we're going to do create function. We can name it whatever we want. I like to include delete in these because I want to know that I can delete it. And then we want to select Python 3.1. Advanced settings, we are going to enable the function URL. And authentication type, none. What this is going to do is it's going to make it so we can write in Python. AI is really good at generating Python because it's a very readable language, and it's easy for us to understand as well. This enable function URL just means that we're giving it a place on the internet that's accessible by the public so that we can send information to it from high level. And none means that it's not going to check any sort of authentication. That means anyone with the link can send data to it, which is not a problem for something like this that's really small. It's using contact IDs. It's not going to be an issue for us. I'm not going to get into the whole security stuff in this because this is just a small single-use function. We'll create the function. So here I have it. This is a function that, when executed, is going to return hello from Lambda. So let's leave this at this point for now, and let's go back over to high level. We have this super simple function that returns hello from Lambda. I'm actually going to do one more thing, print. There we go. Okay. And I'll show you what I did there in a little bit. Here is our URL that I had mentioned. We're going to copy that. Next, it's time to come over into our high-level account, and we're going to make a new automation. I'm going to call this generate summary. Trigger when a contact tag is added. The tag I made called generate summary. So when the tag generate summary is added, we are going to do a webhook action. All of the actions we use in this are going to be free actions. None of them will be premium. I'm going to paste this in here. Okay, so we have this that's going to execute when we add that tag, which executes this. And then let's go ahead and have it remove the tag after it's done. That way we can execute it again later to generate a new summary. And let's publish it. Okay, I'm going to go over to a contact now. And let's run it and see what happens. Okay, so we added this person to that workflow. Let's go back and check the logs to see what happened. So it executed the workflow, and the response was, hello from Lambda. This success is generated by this 200. 200 means we did a good job. Everything happened successfully. Okay, now I wanted to print this event because we have some information in here that we're going to need to use. Let's go check it out. We can go over to monitor and let's view our logs. Now, this is going to show logs every time it's executed, and you can click into here to see anything that's printed. Here I see what we got when we sent information here. Most importantly, we're looking for the contact ID. It was included. Awesome. Now, let's pretend we don't know. I don't know how to work with this. I don't know what this is. It looks like a big glob of text. Fair. We're just going to click this copy button. And now here's where we use AI to do some really cool stuff. I like to use Anthropic. So I'm going to use Anthropic to do my code work. You can use ChatGPT. You can use the OpenAI playground. Totally fine. Whatever works for you. And then I'm going to, so I have that copied to my clipboard, and I'm going to say, I'm using Python and want to get the contact ID into a variable. Write me a function to do that. Okay. Fair enough. So we have this function. Let's go back over to our Lambda and put this in. We'll go back over to the code and we can make edits in here. First of all, let me just paste it in. I only need to import this once. We have this function here. If I didn't know what to do, just keep copying and pasting. So I'm going to copy this whole thing. Let's go back and say, I have this code. Make it so we get the contact ID and return it in the response. Okay, let's copy this. Just a lot of copy and pasting. And then deploy is how we can save that. Let's go ahead and run it again. Let me open a new tab to make it easier. We'll go back to our contact. And let's add that tag again. Generate summary. And now let's check it out. Cool. So let's look at this code. So it modified it to pull in the contact ID. And then if it found the contact ID, it's saying Contact ID retrieved successfully, and then including the contact ID. Let's see what we see here. Yeah, that's perfect. And I just wanted to run that test just to make sure we're able to pull in the contact ID, because we're going to use that for the rest of our code. So now that I showed you some basics of how we can spool up this API, this little function that we can send stuff to, I prepared some code for us that I'm going to paste in here, and then we'll use AI to modify it to do some extra stuff. That code that I provided for you guys is going to be right in here. There are two other files that I'll paste in here for you. Let's go back to our instructions first, though. Okay, so we did this stuff. Next, I need to download the python.zip file. There's this file right in here. It's a zip file. You're just going to download it. I already have it downloaded, so I'll skip the actual download part. But we're going to go and create a layer. All a layer is it makes a bunch of cool stuff available to our code to use. I have packaged up a bunch of things in this layer that I think would be really useful for you guys, including tools for web scraping, tools for interacting with Anthropic's API, OpenAI's API, MySQL, if you want to interact with a database. All kinds of really cool code stuff is in here. So you can write some really cool functions to do custom stuff. I'm going to go over here. So there was this side area, and click layers. In here, we're just going to create a layer. We're going to upload a zip file. Select that file. And then we don't have to select anything else. And I'm just going to click create. This takes a little bit to create. It's just loading it into the system. And then we're going to be able to attach this to our function so that it can use all these really cool tools. I wanted to mention to you guys as well, if you do have any questions, we have Max in the room. He is the lead developer for the current version 1 of CloseBot. So he obviously knows about all of this stuff. Feel free to ask questions along the way. He will answer them as he can in the chat. Okay, so we got that loaded. Now, here we have the version ARN. This is kind of like a link for Amazon Web Services. I want to copy this. If you forget to copy it, totally fine. You can come back over to layers, find the one. I'm gonna have to refresh. And then you can copy it from there. Let me go back into our function. Okay, so if you scroll down on this code screen, you see layers. We're going to add a layer. And then we're going to specify an ARN, paste it in, and verify. Once we've done that, we can add it. Now, it takes a little bit to add it. So from here, let's go on to the next step. We've done all this. Next, we're going to copy and paste our 3 file contents into our Lambda function. We're really almost done with the setup part. Let me go back. So those files are going to be in here. Right now I have them in here, but we're going to do some more modifications to them. So I'll leave them here for now. They'll be in there by the end of the call. Okay, I still have this key here. Don't want to forget that. In fact, let's head up to keys. And this is going to expose some of my keys, which I don't care. I will delete them after the call. And we have one area for go high level key, which we generated at the beginning, and then one for our OpenAI key. If you don't know how to get an OpenAI key, you need to go to platform.openai.com and make a free account and hook in your billing information into there, and then get your API key. I can show you where to do that. Maybe. There we go. So we can come in and get our admin keys. Okay, and that's what you would paste in there, an OpenAI key. So we have our high level key, our OpenAI key, and then we have a couple functions. These are the functions that I would paste in. And let's go ahead and do that. So this gets replaced with something I wrote for you guys, and I'll describe what each of these steps does, just so you guys kind of know your way around your new toy. We need a new file called keys.py. You're just going to name them exactly the same as we have them named. We'll put that in there. Then we need one more. Nice. Call it GHL underscore functions dot py. Let's go grab our fun stuff from there. Okay, and then as always, deploy means save. So let me talk you through a little bit of what this does. First of all, I can see that the function that gets called when the code is run is this Lambda function. So that's the file, Lambda handler. So that's this function right now, right here. Let's just focus on this part. So this is something I wrote to just get our contact ID. We had the function that did it before that had a safer way of doing it in case it wasn't in there and in case other things. I just did it a simple way, just pointed directly to it to get the contact ID. And then said, if we were able to find a contact ID, if we weren't able to find a contact ID, we're going to return no contact ID provided. If we were, we're going to do first this function. This function gets the conversation ID. Go High Level has contacts with IDs and they have conversations with IDs. This takes in the contact ID and finds the conversation ID that we're going to need for this next step that I wrote. This function takes in the conversation ID and gives you the whole back and forth conversation. I limited it to return 20 results. You could do 100,000, whatever. Just keep in mind there will be a cost to it. I just set it at 20, but you can change this. So that grabs our whole conversation. This formats our conversation in a way that OpenAI is willing to accept it. And then this sends it on to OpenAI to get a summary. And I have a parameter here you can put in to limit the length in characters of the summary that it returns. Finally, this takes the formatted request and it sends it to OpenAI to get our response. Okay. So let's run this. Same contact. Now, as you can see, it's going to return the response, return the summary in the response, which is not what we want yet. And that's what we're going to modify here in a little bit. But let's get this working first. So when we add the tag, we can click here and see the response. It's taken a little bit longer this time. And here is the summary it gave us. User Gandalf Patillo needs a new sync installed. Appointment set for 8 a.m. tomorrow. User's email is this. Let's go check out this conversation. That sounds like it did what it was supposed to, but let's make sure. This is a conversation that was generated during one of our live build calls for CloseBot where he interacted with one of our bots. But because we're not tying this to a bot, this can be used to generate the summary if the business owner is having a conversation here, and then maybe the assistant steps in, and then maybe a bot steps in, and it would summarize all of it. So that's where this is really powerful. You can use this with whatever system you're using. I don't care if you're using ZappyChat, the internal AI. It really doesn't matter to me. This is going to be able to generate a summary for you. So yeah, it looks like it did its job. Cool. Still not entirely useful because I can't use that information. It's there in the workflow. Let's go here and create a new custom field. Called, let's make it a multi-line text field. And this will hold our chat summary. Okay. We have this unique key, contact.chat_summary. We're going to use that here in a little bit. Okay, so we know this runs, and I explained this to you a little bit. Let me go explain our go high level functions to you a little bit, and I'll point to the areas of the go high level documentation. Then we're going to use AI, use our functions we wrote as an example, and use their API documentation to write some new functions to update the contact field chat summary with that summary. Okay, let's open up Go High Level API. If you go here to the High Level API, you now are privileged enough to click 2.0 docs. You'll notice if I go to V1, we have all these available, which is cool. We can do a lot of stuff with the V1 API, but V2 gives so much more. A lot of things we can do here. Let's find where we can do contact stuff. Here's where it talks some about contacts. Okay, cool. We can update a contact. That sounds like what I want. Okay, this is all cool, but doesn't make much sense to me. Let's pretend. Good thing we have some examples. This function right here. Let's see. This is the first one that gets executed. This takes in, actually this one. This takes in our contact ID and it gets our conversation history or our conversation ID. So contact ID does some stuff, spits out a conversation ID. And that's the function that was used right here. We get the conversation ID. Then we had a function that takes the conversation ID and it's going to get live chat messages, SMS, Facebook, Google My Business, Instagram, WhatsApp. It's going to get all that stuff and return the messages. So that's what those two do. Now we need a new one. Update contact field. I'm going to need the, let's see, what am I going to need? Something really cool with their documentation over here. You can see how it looks in Python. Let's just copy this and do the requests one. Let's go back over to AI. Pretend that I'm lost. I don't know how to write a function. I know I want it to update a contact field, but how the heck do I do that? Let's go over to Anthropic. I have this code from Go High Level Documentation showing how to update a contact. I want to take, we had it called, what was it? Contact.chat_summary. I want to take some text and update a contact field, contact chat summary. There. Write me a simple function to do that. Okay. So here's that function. Let's look at what it does. It structures this thing. It's going to send it here. It takes in the contact ID, API key, chat summary. Let's take it a step further and say, I already have a function that you can use as an example here. And let's go grab our example that I wrote. Just grab a simple example. AI does really well with examples. then it will at least know what we have available for it. Okay. Let's copy this. And paste it in. So let's go through what this does. It's going to build our endpoint. So this is where it's going to send the information. I built it in a slightly different way up here. I like my way better, but whatever, you wouldn't know that. This will work just fine. It's doing this thing. It looks like it's pointing at that field key, that contact.chat_summary, and it's taken in the chat summary. It's building some other stuff. Now it's going to try to update that contact field. This is going to fail, which is fine. I'm going to let it fail, and then I'll show you how we can fix it. Let's go back to our contact. Generate summary. Ooh, failed. I'm going to come in here to monitor. And let's view those logs again. Okay, so here's a new one. Task timed out after 3 seconds. Let me put that in our document on things to do. So by default, Lambda functions only try for 3 seconds before they give up. We can change that by going into configuration, general configuration, and here, 3 seconds. We're just going to change that. 30 seconds. That should be enough time for OpenAI to do its stuff. Let's try again. Let's go into our logs. Looks like it failed again, which we knew it would. We don't have any. Oh, this is the same one. I probably removed the tag and added it back too fast. Let's remove it, refresh the screen, and add it back. Or maybe it's stuck in there. Yeah, he's stuck in there. So if a webhook fails, the contact's going to get stuck in there and take its sweet time to retry. We'll just remove him from the workflow. There. Now let's do it again. Generate summary. Okay. So let's go to our logs. Let's go to this field actually, and I'll show you that it didn't update the field, and then I'll talk about why. Chat summary, bummer, not there. Let's go to the logs again. Okay, I don't have any errors there. That's because we have something catching our errors in the function, but I want to show you. So here, two things. Here we need to put our API key in, but also we didn't call this function. Remember this area over here, this is what gets run. So we need to make sure just one step at a time, we're calling our functions. So let's just copy this. Over here. Actually, let me say, yeah. And if you don't know this, I've shown you how you can copy and paste things into AI. Just say like, hey, here's my main file and here are my functions. I want to use this function here. Where do I put it? And it'll kick out code for you. This updates our contact chat summary, contact ID equals. We have this variable here. Chat summary. Where's our chat summary? Right here. Now let me go back to our functions. And let's call this more how I do up here. I already have the headers made up here for us. We don't have to remake them here. And that's where if you copy in the whole file, it would have done better. Let me do that for us so it knows all this stuff that I have. Let's go back over here. So I guess that's a lesson learned. These files are small enough, just copy in the whole file for it. See there, now it knows that I have the API key available like this. So this is a better function. Let's copy this function. Okay, so this is building our stuff. It's going to send it there. And if it's a success, it's going to print out that it was updated successfully. If not, it's going to update, print out whatever our error was. That'll be helpful when we go into the logs. And now we're actually using this function. So we can test it again. Okay, added the tag. Failed. Perfect. Let's go over to see why. Logs. Update contact chat summary is not defined. Pretend I don't know what that means. I'm going to copy and paste that in. And where did it say that happened? Lambda function. Here, let's just copy this whole thing and just say help with AI. So I didn't import it. Let's just pretend I don't know what that means. I know it's in this lambda function.py file. So let's go copy all that stuff in that file. Okay, so at the top, we just have to import that function we made. It explains it here. If I didn't understand more, I could ask it. So up here, we need to import that function we made. Okay, let's try this. Oh, stuck in it again. That's something you'll have to remember when you're doing this. I constantly forget. They get stuck. Move the tag, add it back. Okay, says it was successful. Let's go see if it did what we wanted it to. And I see we have the chat summary right there. So next step would be to maybe create a workflow that when chat summary is updated, we send an email to the business owner, letting them know that this is the summary of the conversation. This would be really good if maybe if an appointment is booked, anytime an appointment is booked, if chat summary is not blank, or if chat summary is blank, add the tag generate summary. That would generate the summary, send the email to the business owner. That way they know what the appointment is going to be about. They get an email about it. Okay, so we have 4 minutes left. Again, this information is all going to be in here. I'm going to put the files in here right after the call. That way you have this, go high level functions file, you have this keys file, you have this Lambda function file, and you just have to follow the video, copy and paste it in, and you'll be able to have something that works exactly like this in a half hour. No problem. And it's super, super cheap to run. Okay, let me see. Max, did we have any questions that you weren't able to answer that I could answer?
No,
Okay,
just people wanting to learn how to code, but
sure.
just telling them that they can use AI every step of the way.
Every step of the way. I was faster through it just because I do know how to code, but I hope I showed you a little bit enough to help you figure out how to ask AI the right questions and where to paste it in. And where to look for the errors. That's a really key thing. Knowing where to copy the files and where to find the errors. And if you copy files in and you paste errors in as well, AI does a really good job of saying, oh, here's the error. And then you can go in and fix it. You don't really have to know how to code. You just have to know how to copy and paste stuff in and then edit and save. Okay. Let's share this link. Laura, you may have shared it, but I want to share it again. One second. I'm going to put a link to that drive in the chat. Laura, can you go get a link to our CloseBot YouTube channel as well? A recording for this will be posted on our YouTube. That YouTube will also have a link to this drive and any other links that I feel would be helpful. Again,
Yes, I
appreciate
have.
everyone for being on this call. I started at the bottom about 10, when was it? Maybe 8 to 10 years ago. I worked at Boeing as a mechanical engineer. I did not go to school for software development. I was just unhappy with my job. I didn't like mechanical engineering. So I just started learning software. I started from the bottom, just like you guys. Some of you guys aren't at the bottom. Cool, that's fine. But just know that you can start totally from the bottom. Just have a mentality of wanting to learn and enjoy the journey. Just get really good at troubleshooting and you'll be there in no time. Okay. Join our Facebook group for CloseBot. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have an Instagram. I have Facebook. Make sure you engage with us. I love helping people along the way, and I will be doing these calls every other week. So look forward to seeing you next time.